Hello and welcome to History for Weirdos.
We're your hosts, Andrew
and Stephanie.
And each week, we're going to take you on a journey into the strange, obscure, and relentlessly entertaining corners of human history.
Now listen up, friends, because it's about to get weird. And we're back with episode 44 of the History for Weirdos podcast.
What's going on, weirdos? It is good to be back.
Always good to be back. Always good to connect with you all. Really excited for this episode. I'm always excited when the episodes aren't my turn. It's like not my story.
So you can just sit back and listen?
Isn't it more fun?
It is, it kind of is. Like, because I can just come in, like, I'm having a good time. I don't have to do any prep work or anything. Yes. Well, the prep work is the technical stuff, which I do anyways, so it's like, whatever. And it just, you tell me something that fascinates me, and I can just make quippy remarks.
Yeah.
And it's a good time.
It's the better end of the deal when it's not your episode.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling good today. But before we get into today's episode that Andrew has prepared for all of us, I did want to remind everyone that like I said at the beginning, this is episode 44. Yeah. Oh boy. And the 50th is coming up because that's how numbers work.
Numbers do work like that traditionally.
Yeah. And for our 50th episode, we want to do a really special Ask Us Anything episode. Please, please, please comment on our Instagram, email us at historyforweirdos@gmail.com your questions, and we will answer them during that episode.
Yeah, you guys have already sent us over like a few, but we definitely have room for more. We want to make this pretty special, so just ask us anything. I mean, the topics include the podcast itself, podcasting in general, our lives in general, history in general. I mean, literally anything.
Our dog Stella in general.
Oh, yeah.
She's a great topic of conversation. She has a cool origin story.
Yeah, she's a pretty cool origin story. She's really weird.
She's really weird.
I mean, she's the mascot for a podcast called History for Weirdos. Mm-hmm. So I think that goes without saying. Yeah.
So please keep sending those in. And that is all for the pre-announcements. The starting announcement. Stop laughing at me. I'm winging it, sir. And now, Andrew, my love, will you tell us what episode stuff are you doing this week?
Oh, my episode stuff this week. It's interesting, I will say.
Okay.
I always think it's interesting. But this is pretty weird. I want to talk about today. This is probably the weirdest, actually, just episode that we've ever done. This is a strange one, I'm not going to lie.
There's quite a high bar for weirdness on this podcast.
I know. This one might take the cake.
Okay.
And we're also going to throw in a little bit of science in there, too, with its weirdness. So we're nerding out today, weirdos. So this is about an event, and there aren't any sort of long-term consequences on world or national or even probably local history. Okay. This is just a weird freaking event.
So it's an isolated event.
It's an isolated event that's just fascinating. It's really weird, like I said, like for the third time, and I mean, we're really putting the weird into History for Weirdos here. So we're just going to jump in. March 3rd, 1876, we're in Kentucky.
We're hanging out once again in the Gilded Age era, which was last week's episode too.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're really stuck in the Gilded Age right now.
Because I think it was a weird time.
Yes.
I really do.
I think so.
Weird stuff happened.
It's really strange. But March 3rd, 1876, we're in Kentucky, and it just starts raining meat.
Meat?
Yes, you heard me. Meat. Ranging from anywhere in size between 2 by 2 to 4 by 4 inches.
No, is it human?
We'll get to that.
Oh my god.
So here are the facts. I'm just gonna because this is just weird. We're just gonna do the facts first.
Set the stage.
So this happened on a farm that was owned by a man named Alan Crouch, and whose wife at this time just happened to be chilling on the front deck making soap. As one casually does.
I think they did do that casually in 1876. So that makes sense.
Times have changed, I feel like.
She's making soap. We're making a podcast. Very similar.
Imagine telling her, be like, yo, by the way, we're going to make a podcast about this. She'll be like, what?
Yeah, I can't even.
Yeah, I know. and she just starts getting pelted with chunks of meat.
No!
Yeah, it's like she said, I don't have this in my notes, I'm recalling from my memory, but she said something along the lines of like it felt like it was like hail of meat just getting struck in the face. In the face.
This is so gross.
Yeah, I mean personally would be terrified, as this is some like end of days theatrics right about now. Well, this lasts for quote unquote several minutes, whatever that means, and it isn't just kind of like a quick one and done kind of thing. It's like a little bit of like a meat hailstorm.
Yeah, like rainfall.
Yeah, exactly.
Of meat. Okay.
Yeah. So in the end, an area of about 100 yards long and 50 yards wide had been like left covered in chunks of meat, which is roughly about the size of like an American football field.
What?
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's
That's
not just like a
lot.
little isolated area. I mean, it's bigger than that. It was found on fences, the farmhouse, and just scattered around the grounds.
Okay, but it sounds like the central location of this meat rain is this farm?
Yes.
Is the Crouch farm?
Yes.
Oh, the poor Crouches.
I know, the poor Crouches.
Just showered in meat.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
In the immediate aftermath of this, people came to visit the farm and inspect the meat, as, one does, of course, right? Some even came to have a nibble on some of this meat.
No, they didn't.
They did.
No, why would they do that? It's meat from the sky.
Yes.
That can't be good. I mean, that's like apocalyptic meat.
Yes. I mean, these people came over to munch on some mystery meat because that is the reasonable thing to do, Stephanie.
Freaking 1876.
I know. The reports on what it tasted like varied wildly.
Shut up. There are reports?
Yeah. Lamb, deer, bear, and mutton.
Who knows what bear tastes like?
I know, seriously. Yeah, I was like, yeah, this guy kind of tastes like bear. Like grizzly bear, like so many questions. So many questions. But we'll be here all day for all my questions.
And these folks heard about, oh wow, the Crouch farm, there was like this crazy meat shower. You know what? I'm going to go taste it.
Yeah.
Like that was their
thought process, yeah.
Okay.
So
we don't judge here.
This was reported shortly after in both the New York Times and the Scientific American. I think the New York Times article was like literally like the very next day.
Oh wow.
So it was yeah.
Word spread quickly then.
And boy oh boy, did the floodgates open on the conspiracy theories.
Yes.
So first of all, there's the obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
This is an act of God.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, right? This is what the Crouches believed.
Oh.
They thought I don't know.
The old gods or the new?
All of them. All of the gods. And just God himself.
Wow. Okay. What did the Crouches believe?
They just believed that this was an act of God.
Okay.
We don't know much more about, good or bad, end of days, whatever.
Oh, wow. I would think they would have a more specific interpretation.
Yeah, maybe they did. I just couldn't find anything.
Like, were they grateful?
Because that's not not really the point of the story, but that is what they believed. This was an act of God.
I would love to know what was on their conscience that they thought God was throwing meat at them.
Like God's like, ha ha,
pelting them with meat.
Yeah, you just hear from the clouds, in the face.
Yeah, imagine.
That'd be amazing.
So, act of God.
So next off, we have our first kind of serious hypothesis. It comes from a man by the name of Leopold Brandeis, who received and analyzed some of the specimens that were preserved in glycerin.
Oh. Yeah,
he claimed it was a substance called nostoc, Nostoc. Never heard of it before.
Me neither.
Until researching this, yeah. Apparently it's a type of bacteria that forms colonies surrounded by a protective gelatinous envelope.
Oh, boy.
So it resembles meat. Due to its inconspicuous nature, people theorize that nostoc floated on the breeze until it rained, which caused it to fall from the sky like hail. It's also known as star jelly, witch's butter, and star slubber. Amazing names.
Star jelly sounds really cute.
It does, doesn't it?
Witch's butter sounds potentially tasty, potentially deadly.
Right, you just don't know which one.
And what was the last one?
Star slubber.
Wow. That one sounds gross.
That one's just gross, yeah. And of course he ate some and said it tasted like frog or spring chicken legs, like whatever that means.
What?
I know, these people are nuts. And just remember that a lot of people ate these.
Why are they eating it?
Just remember that. Just keep that in the back of your mind, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna remember that.
So here's the thing: it didn't rain that day, and in fact, it was a clear sky. So this was pretty quickly ruled out.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
It didn't rain.
Didn't even rain. No,
it didn't even rain. One theory even suggested this was the result of a meteor shower.
Okay.
Yeah, which
is meteor.
Literally in the article, they punned it. It was a meat. Eeyore.
Oh my God.
Livingston Alden of the New York Times at the time, this was, not current New York Times, 1876 New York Times, explained this. According to the present theory of astronomers, an enormous belt of meteor. I'm sorry, this is just so absurd. Of meteoric stones constantly revolves around the sun, and when the Earth comes in contact with this belt, she is soundly pelted. Okay. Similarly, we may suppose that there revolves about the sun a belt of venison, mutton, and other meats divided into small fragments, which are precipitated upon the earth whenever the latter crosses their path. So, yeah, and I'm like, I couldn't find if this guy was for real. Like, I thought it was like he was joking,
right?
Because this is so absurd.
Okay, so that was.
But I think this was real. Like, I think that's what. There was some thought that that was how it worked.
So there was a lot of old-timey talk. So let me see if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, let me explain what meteor showers are, right?
Yeah.
And then we're like, yeah, that makes sense. So, but he's saying along with meteors, there's meat, such as mutton, that sometimes hits the earth as well and pelts us.
That's in the atmosphere, yeah.
Okay. I disagree.
Oh, yeah. I think astronomers today would very much so disagree. Unless it's like, a person like in space or whatever that got lost or something like that. But
there was no.
It's 1876. There were no astronauts at this time. There was not even flight.
That's what I had first thought. I was like, oh, maybe someone threw a bunch of meat off a plane, but there's no plane.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that earlier, but right. It's important to remember that the Wright brothers wouldn't be around for another 30 years. Mm-hmm. So here's the most likely explanation, and I hope you're not too squeamish because it's kind of gross.
Okay, listeners.
Yeah,
so... Are you ready?
This is just a quote-unquote trigger warning for you guys. It gets a little nasty.
For the squeamish folks. Let's go. If you're squeamish, just fast forward.
Yeah, just fast forward the next 5 minutes or so. Enter Dr. L.D. Castenbein. He wrote in the Louisville Medical News that he theorized that this was vulture projectile vomit.
No.
That's why I told you, remember the people eating this.
That's why I got grossed out, because so many people ate it.
Yeah, just, you know what, in fact, let's just let this sink in for a second. Vulture projectile vomit.
That would make sense why everyone tasted it a little different.
Because they're different animals.
Yeah, because vultures eat a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Joe Walton the vice president for field programs at the Wildlife Conservation Society, goes on records and says that this is actually what he believes.
Okay.
Typically, vultures don't vomit from being sick, simply as we usually do, as their insides are super acidic and they can pretty much down anything, including rotten meat or rotting meat, no biggie. Yeah,
they're vultures.
They eat rotting flesh all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like their go-to. It's when they get frightened or they need to fly off for some reason that, they need to get rid of weight, right? Mm-hmm. And meat weighs a lot, so typically that's kind of the first thing to go. And so this can happen as they're taking off or even when they're in the air. And so this is pretty much theorized what happened, is that there was a flock of vultures or something that were flying about, something scared them, and then a ton of them, for a couple minutes or so, started just projectile vomiting. To lighten their weight. To lighten their load, yeah, exactly. Dr. Alan McLean Hamilton of the Medical Record wrote that this was indeed partially digested meat. He got a few samples himself and even concluded that bits of it were lung tissue, muscle, and cartilage. So it was for sure meat. It was not like that weird...
Oh, no
stock or whatever. And this does kind of fit with the theory of the vultures. Also, I think there are 2 types of vultures that are native to Kentucky.
Okay.
So again, it's not
They're
out
in
of
the
ordinary.
area.
Yeah, they're in the area, and something must have just frightened them, and they just vomited all over this poor lady.
That makes a lot of sense.
And people ate it.
Oh my god. You had to repeat it.
I had to.
That makes a lot of sense. Like if it was some meat, but you essentially described like a football field full of meat.
Yeah, just like little pieces, like little chunks all
Yeah.
over. Like remember, like the biggest one they found was only 4 inches by 4 inches.
Okay, but that's still weird. That would be a lot of...
It could have been like a whole flock of something like scared them in midair. I don't know.
That's really
maybe like a
interesting.
few hawks or something. I have no idea.
But also the woman, Mrs. Crouch making her soap, she said it felt like hail.
Yeah.
That's really like hard.
Yeah, I mean, if they're flying up high, like the velocity.
That's the word I was looking for. That's
Yeah.
like a really intense velocity.
Yeah, just like the gravity alone could have like had it pretty intense velocity. Plus, like it's projectile vomited, so yeah, it's like not even dropped from just like a standstill. It's like already launched, and then just gravity just goes.
It still feels very intense.
Yeah, I know. No, it's super intense.
Okay.
It's nasty. It's nasty.
That is, and then everyone was eating the nice vulture vomit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I think it's aliens.
Okay, definitely. We're going the ancient aliens route here.
Yeah. This is History Channel at night.
A History Channel at night.
We're definitely going to attribute this to aliens. I think aliens were just being mean and decided to scare these nice little human farmers and pelt them with a bunch of icky meat.
So we're just going to throw out the vulture theory and just go with this.
Yeah, I think mine makes more sense.
Okay. Well, you know what's kind of weird too is it seemed to be a mystery for a short period of time in 1876, and it was pretty quickly solved from what I gathered. But then, as it's a very obscure event, like it was probably quickly forgotten and then just faded. And then we, a few decades ago, got re-interested in this, and it was like, oh, we just some people probably found the original news articles, like, how the hell did this happen?
Right.
And so it was kind of had to be rediscovered once again.
Yes.
And so what ended up happening was that there was a professor at Transylvania University by the name of Kurt Goad.
Hold on. There's no one better to demystify the meat shower than a professor
at
Transylvania.
I know. I saw that. I was like,
University.
of course.
That's beautiful.
I know.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah, of course. This guy, Kurt Goad, he's an art professor, by the way, so not like a biologist or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
He was obsessed with finding the answers to this phenomenon and ultimately came to the same conclusion as the vulture theory.
Okay.
And in fact, in 2004, while he was cleaning out an old storage closet at the university, he just happens to stumble upon a jar that still contains a piece of meat preserved from that day.
From Kentucky? It was in the Transylvania University?
I don't know if Transylvania University... To be honest with you, I had assumed that it was just in Kentucky.
Like he was in Kentucky cleaning things out?
Yeah, and
Okay.
there was a university in Kentucky called Transylvania University. I don't know. To be honest, yeah, I didn't really dig deep into that because I was just like, oh wow, that's so weird.
Oh, well, weirdos, let us know.
Yeah, if there's a Transylvania University in Kentucky, I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of curious.
Or if this was in Transylvania,
I
as
don't
thought.
think it was in Transylvania.
Boo! Okay,
Yeah,
go
sorry.
on. So he's cleaning stuff out.
So he's cleaning out, and he finds this jar, and it's labeled this nasty ass looking piece of thing, and it's still preserved to this day. And in fact, I'm kind of wondering, should we post a picture of it on our Instagram?
Yeah, we're definitely going to post a picture.
Okay, weirdos, if you want to get grossed out, you can go to our Instagram, and you can see the picture
Of the meat jar?
of the meat jar. Oh, it's so nasty.
The vulture vomit meat jar?
Yes.
/ alien
Sasha Aliens.
meat jar?
Hashtag history at night. Or History Channel at night, excuse me.
Yeah, I bet it was aliens, and they don't sound very nice, because that's a mean prank.
That's a pretty mean prank, yeah.
So this was some mean-spirited aliens.
God, you know what? I really want to have that Ancient Aliens guy as a guest on this show.
Oh my gosh, that would be a dream come
You know
true.
what? It would end up being like a therapy session for you, though, I bet. Like he would just like start like spilling his guts to you, and I'm just like here. I'd be like, okay, I guess I'll like.
I'd have a lot
Go on
of
my
deep
phone.
questions for sure.
Yeah, I'd be like,
a lot
so
of deep questions.
why?
Do you remember the show we watched with him where they went? I think they're in South America, and they're on a boat looking for a hidden temple or a hidden structure beneath the water.
That sounds familiar.
It was, I don't know. I felt for him. Just watching that episode, I was like, he really wants this to be aliens, and I want it to be aliens for him.
Right?
You know?
It's like the whole theme of that show is just like, this was so long ago. There's no way people could have made this. Therefore, aliens. Like, that's literally like seasons of the show summed up in like one sentence.
Yeah, and that's what I just did for this podcast episode.
Oh, right.
Is like, vulture vomit. That sounds
No.
too mundane. Aliens.
There we go.
That's how you rewrite
Logic,
history.
Foolproof.
There you go.
Absolutely. Well, my sources for this episode
Yes,
include
please share.
The Scientific American, Popular Science,
Ooh.
Vice, Atlas Obscura, All That's Interesting, and, of course, Wikipedia.
That's amazing. This was a really weird one.
I hope this was life-changing for all of you weirdos, because it really didn't affect the course of human history at all.
I like it.
But it was just so weird, and I know this is a shorter episode, but like I just had to tell it.
You have to cover it because sometimes we need those light-hearted
Exactly.
mystery meat that everyone
Mystery meat.
feels the need to eat stories.
Yeah.
I loved that.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could enlighten you.
You all need to let us know what you think.
Yeah. Is this indeed vulture vomit, or is this from outer space? Is this a meteor shower, or is this from aliens?
I forgot about that theory. That one's awesome. There's just a bunch of mutton
I
floating
know.
around.
Like, who in their right mind? I'm more curious about that. I'm like, bro, what?
It's very specific too, mutton.
Yeah. And it's like, I think I read that it's like maybe they thought that like tornadoes might like throw it up so high it goes in the atmosphere. I'm like, dude, that's not how.
Wow.
That's no.
That's dumb.
Like, bro, do you even know about escape velocity? No, you don't, because this is 1876.
1876. Wow. Well, thank you again, babe,
You're welcome.
for this Kentucky meat episode.
Meat shower.
Meat shower.
God, get it right, babe.
Meat rain. I don't even know what to say, you all.
Yeah, this was weird. Well, weirdos, until next time.
Thank you for listening, and good night.
Good night.
Unless it's not night where you are.
Yeah, unless it's day, then good day. Or
Then
if
good
it's
day.
like morning, then
Good morning. Yeah. Okay.
fine.
Bye.